guys, it's Connie Glynn, author of the Rosewood Chronicles series. The first book, Undercover Princess, is out now in hardback and paperback if you want to check it out. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my 5 tips for getting into writing. So it's no secret that getting into writing and starting a book is incredibly daunting. So many people say to me, where do you even begin? So that is where we're gonna start. Tip number 1, read as much as you can. This probably seems very obvious and is also probably the thing that you get told the most when you look for writing tips. And that's because it really is as helpful as people say it is. Read everything and start to get an idea of what excites you, what you feel passionate about, or even what you think is missing. Read books, read short stories, read poetry, read fan fiction, just read everything you can and everything that you enjoy and start to pick up on the patterns, and you will find that the more you read, the more you get an understanding of what it is that works in writing and what it is that doesn't. The best filmmakers watch lots of movies, the best artists consume a lot of art, and the best writers do a lot of reading. Other people's work can be the best inspiration and the best teacher. Tip number 2, keep notes. You never know when inspiration is going to strike you, so it's a really good idea to have something with you at all times that you can make notes on, be that a bit of stationery or even the notes app on your phone. I very often get my best ideas when I'm out and about in the world, so I will just quickly get out my phone and make a note of whatever idea I've had so that I don't lose it, because there is nothing worse than having a good idea and losing it. I do try and bring a notebook with me wherever I go, but sometimes you forget. Tip number 3, start making a plan. This, in my opinion, is the most important part of writing, and it's the thing so many people overlook and don't realize is as important as it is. Once you have an idea for a story, you need to make a plan for it. I personally write out 5 bullet points for every single chapter. These bullet points will dictate everything that needs to happen in that chapter, as well as all of the subtext that needs to come across. For example, what information a character needs to know, how a character is going to be feeling, how they're going to be feeling at the end of the chapter. All of these things I need to make sure are coming across, so I like to have them in a plan so I can look back at that plan and make sure it has worked. This also gives you a great map of pacing and length because it shows you how long it's taking for each plot point to happen. So you can see that maybe this thing should be happening quicker, maybe you don't need as much time for that other plot point. All of these things can be sorted out in the plan before you start writing. This is also a good way to prevent writer's block and shows you any problems that your story might have. I would encourage you to make plans about everything. Characters, locations, etc. Having a solid database of all your ideas is a great way of keeping motivated and also just keeping organized. Tip number 4, make time to write. It's all well and good having all of your ideas and all of your plans, but what about actually writing? Try and designate time every day or every week if you're very busy to getting a certain amount of words done. My personal time guide follows the average length of my chapters. A regular chapter for me is about 2,000 words, so I try and write between 700 and 1,000 words a day, which is approximately half a chapter. So my average chapter takes me about 2 to 3 days to finish. Sometimes I will write more, but I always try and write at least that many words on a day that I've designated to writing. My final tip, tip number 5, kill your darlings. Once you have some chapters or even your whole story, it's time for the hardest part, and that is getting good at editing and realizing when things in your story are not working. This was the most difficult thing for me to do as a writer, but I promise it gets easier and easier. The best way to get good at this is to share your work. Maybe join a creative writing class. This way you get encouragement as well as feedback. Sometimes you'll need to take a break from your story so you can come back to it with fresh eyes and see what wasn't working. Or sometimes you will be able to see what isn't working but won't be ready to part with it yet, so you need to go away and come back when you're less emotionally attached to that bit. I would also say that the more you plan, the less you will need to edit and get rid of and fix. So do not underestimate the power of a good plan. So that was my personal 5 tips on getting into writing and starting your first story. I hope it has been helpful for you. And don't forget that practice really does make perfect, so don't get discouraged if it gets hard. Just keep working at it and keep going. And don't forget to plan. I'm gonna sing the praises of plans my whole life. A plan is the best way to write. Best of luck to all of you on your writing journeys. Goodbye.